calculating your cost per mile is so important to your business. That's what this video is about. So this goes out to company drivers thinking about becoming owner-operators, or your first-time owner-operator who just got started and needs a little bit of help. So here, check this out. This is what you need to do is always understand cost to do business. All right, so what I did here is on this Excel sheet, we're going to calculate your cost per mile on your fixed cost. So there's several things. You got fixed costs and variable costs, the variable being fuel because the price of fuel goes up and down. So what we did is we broke this down into 4 categories, as you can see right here. Your truck payment. So what we're going to do on the truck payment is just get an average of, I would say, $1,600. Fair enough number right there. All right. Your insurance on your truck, that's going to be right about that $350 a month for that physical damage and bobtail. So your monthly PM, we're talking at least an oil change and a filter, something like that. It's going to be at that 500 mark. And now you got your IRP, IFTA, HUT stickers, all your permitting, 2290, everything that you need to be in compliance. And again, these are mandatory things, which is what makes it a fixed cost. Around that bad boy up to about $350 a month. So what we come up with, it is now $2,800 to stay in business. That is your fixed cost every month. That's coming, that's due rather, right? So what we did here is you're going to look under this second column right here, cost per week. So what we're doing is we're breaking this down into 4 weeks. So every single week, you should be, the first $700 that you generate in your business is going to go towards your fixed cost. So you need $700 no matter what, whether you run or don't run, to automatically pay for the cost of your business. Okay. So now we're going to break it down per mile based on how many miles you're running. So I actually broke this down into 5,000 miles. If you run 5,000 miles within this time frame of the 4 weeks, it will cost you 56 cents a mile in order to be able to pay the bill. All right. So let's say here's the unique thing for those guys who sometimes have this little misunderstanding of, like, you know, run a little bit, run less to kind of preserve on some on wear and tear and whatnot, and you'll save more money. But in actuality, running less increases your cost. So if you pay attention, you take it over to 10,000 miles within this time frame, and your cost to do business per mile actually goes down to 28 cents. All right. So let's say you stretch out a little bit more and get that 13,000. That 13,000 miles, your cost to do business went down even more. Correct. So you see that 22 cents. And I got this last scenario because not everybody runs out for 4 weeks. I understand that. So there's a lot of guys that are out there that'll, you know, hit it really hard out for 3 weeks and then they're home for a week. Got some of those guys. That's okay. It's about balance, work-life balance. I'm all for that. But now what happens is when you run 3 weeks, that 4th week still has a cost. So that cost has to be dispersed amongst the 3 weeks that you're running. So on this last tab right here, you're going to notice that for those 3 weeks, your cost went from $700 to pay for your fixed cost to $933. It went up because you're not running that 4th week. All right. So it's just another perspective on how to look at this thing and to understand how fixed cost works and how and what you need to do about it in order to keep your wheels turning. All right, guys. So that's real important to pay attention. Another thing that you're going to have to pay attention to is going to be miles per gallon. All right. What is your cost to do business? So this right here is probably going to be the most important part of the video for most of you guys, because if you don't know by now, fuel is the most expensive part of doing business in trucking. Okay. So what we do here is I put up a little link, and once you click on that bad boy, what it's going to do is going to take you right here, which is going to give you the national average of certain areas, however you want to break it down. You know, in the U.S. for 512, the price of fuel. So you would pick which area that you're running, whether you're running Midwest, Lower Atlantic, the Gulf Coast, whatever the case may be, and you would take your average. All right. So the interesting part about this is that on the example here, I'm going to run an average of 3 main areas that we happen to run. So I'm running that lower Atlantic. I got guys in that Midwest, and I got guys in that Gulf Coast. So I'm running 340 in that lower Atlantic. Midwest is 341, and then that Gulf Coast is 314, which is going to give me an average of 332, price of diesel. Now, granted, guys, this is before fuel savings. So our guys do experience a lot of fuel savings. They actually operate with 2 fuel cards to max that out. So if you're not paying attention to that, I would suggest you do. But okay, we're just going to run these averages here. So now if your truck is getting 4.5 miles to the gallon, it'll cost you 74 cents to run that truck per mile. So it's costing you 74 cents. That's more than your operating cost. Okay. What we just talked about in the previous tab. All right. Somebody getting 5.5 to the gallon, it's going to cost them 60 cents. Somebody getting 6.5, 51, 7.5, 44 cents, 8.5, 39 cents. So as you can see, that is going to influence your bottom line right off the bat. Like, paying attention to this is so important. Most of our guys are probably going to be running like right in the 6.5, 7.5 on my fleet average. That's kind of the sweet spot of where most guys are. Guys who don't pay attention, you got to look at them fuel filters. You got to look at self-control of driving habits. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't trust yourself enough and you got to govern that truck, that's really the only reason you should be governing that truck, is because you need a little bit of help controlling yourself for the savings on your miles per gallon. So check this out right here. Let's pick an individual who is actually probably getting really bad, but it happens on the extreme of 3 miles to the gallon. It's costing my man $1.10 a mile to pay for fuel for that. That's plus whatever fixed cost that he's doing. So this is why it's so important, because again, it breaks down to, even if the price of diesel gets more expensive, I understand that that's going to be that's going to be a higher expense to do your business, obviously. However, you're not really going to combat it with running less. A lot of guys want to run that local freight because they think that the expenses are going to get too high. However, if we did an example of a guy running local, and now my man actually runs, let's say, 2,000 miles within this time frame because he found high-paying loads. Right? They're very high paying loads, but they're so short on miles that you're not really doing much. So if you generate 2,000 miles, your cost to do business, your fixed cost would jump to 71 cents. And if in addition to having something like that, let's say it's costing you $3, you're getting 3 miles to the gallon, you're almost at $2 a mile to operate. So how far is that $3 a mile local run going to get you? You're really not doing much at that point. You want to be able to keep this truck moving, guys. Hit that sweet spot. Make sure you're getting your 3,000 miles a week. That way, that's going to get you into that medium right here. If you're looking for that balance, if you're looking to run harder than that, then obviously it's going to get better for you. And you're going to lower every time you get more miles in. That cost, that operating cost, is going to get lowered for yourself. So this is just a different point of view to look at things, guys. Every truck is different. So again, you want to be able to calculate your miles per gallon. We'll have a separate video on how to do that. I'm sure my man Mike is going to put this link up where you can play along with play with this Excel sheet and tailor it to your numbers where you run, and get your magic number and understand your cost to do business so that you can plan accordingly and have a target. Because when you have a target, you're going to be able to hit that goal. All right, my people, drive safe, be safe, and we'll talk soon.